I did not identify as someone who was abused or experiencing domestic violence because I felt like I was, accomplished. I owned a business, I actually owned 2 businesses. I had a big network of friends, so I didn't fit what I thought was the profile of a battered woman.
After 21 years of marriage and 2 children, Lizette Johnson of Chesterfield told her husband she wanted a divorce. She says he'd verbally abused her and threatened her life. In 2009, she'd returned home from church and
he said, "I love you too much to live without you," and then aimed the gun at my head and started shooting.
After shooting her, Lisette's husband shot and killed himself. Today, she works with survivors of domestic abuse and is an advocate for stronger gun safety laws.
And the substantial risk order would have been exactly what I could have used.
The substantial risk order, commonly known as a red flag law, prevents a person who poses a threat to themselves or others from possessing or purchasing a firearm for up to 180 days. The state's chief medical examiner reported a gun is used in nearly 2/3 of intimate partner murders in Virginia. And according to the Giffords Law Center, while guns are used in only 5% of suicide attempts, they are responsible for half of suicide deaths. Lizette wonders if the red flag law could have helped her and her family.
Had he not had a gun, things would have been different. And, good or bad, my children would have had a father that they could get some closure with.
Since the law was enacted, guns were seized across Virginia through risk orders nearly 400 times. Northern Virginia's Fairfax County accounts for nearly 1/3 of those risk orders, the most in the state.
We, a lot of the times, get called to mental health crises where someone is wanting to kill themselves by utilizing a firearm. In those cases, our officers are obtaining an emergency substantial risk order to be able to take that firearm away from that person at the time until they can get the treatment that they might need to get their firearms back.
Detective Sergeant Amanda Paris is the department's emergency substantial risk order coordinator. According to Fairfax PD, 2/3 of the risk orders obtained are related to mental health concerns, and a quarter are domestic violence threats.
I will say that I have seen people who have, the officers have obtained a substantial risk order out on them, gone through the court process and be able to successfully receive their firearms back.
The law doesn't require the gun owner to seek mental health treatment, but proponents say it presents an opportunity for people to get help. Critics of the law worry it infringes on gun owners' Second Amendment rights.
Advocates on the other side are going to say this is about sort of proactively saving lives. I would tell you it's really about guns and guns alone.
Attorney Gilbert Ambler has defended Virginians who've faced red flag law orders. He argues the law doesn't reduce danger.
With the red flag laws, we leave the person in place, the person who's harassing another person, who's threatening another person, who's potentially threatening themselves. That person is still there. All we do is we remove firearms from them.
Also, substantial risk orders are civil charge, so they won't show up on someone's permanent record. But Ambler argues that limits due process.
There is no right to a court-appointed attorney. So if you don't have the means to obtain an attorney, it means you wind up handling these things without counsel, which I think everyone is better served when there's counsel present.
While critical of Virginia's red flag law, Ambler says there is one thing it gets right.
This law has a lot of bad parts about it, but one of the helpful things that they did when they wrote this law was they required an independent investigation to occur.
Before submitting a request to remove firearms, Virginia's police must substantiate claims of a threat. Ambler says if there's enough evidence, police should press criminal charges. But advocates of the law, like Lizette, insist it's a valuable tool for law enforcement.
And here we have this phenomenal law that when somebody is showing signs of distress, we can make sure that they don't have the lethal means to hurt themselves or others.
Thank you for watching. Continue to follow Virginia news and stories by subscribing to our VPM YouTube channel.